2. Hung jury, yep. Gattaca, 1997, starring Nova Scotia's own Hawk, Uma Thurman, and Jude Law. Directed by Andrew Nichol. Wait, I think he wrote it.
Ethan Hawke's Nova Scotian.
I'm going to take us away there, Dave.
Ethan
Hawke's lives here Nova now. Scotian? He bought an island.
Okay, no, well, I mean, he's not.
He's not a native son like us.
Yeah,
but yeah.
You ask him. I think he would consider himself a Nova Scotian. You just ask him.
Yes. Well, certainly. I don't mind taking the wheel here.
Oh, wait, no, wait. Hold on. Murphy was supposed to launch the trailer. He took off. The technical difficulties with the storm outside.
Well, while you sort that out, I'll give us a summary. In the not too distant future, a less than perfect man wants to travel to the stars. Society has categorized Vincent Freeman as a less than suitable, given his genetic makeup, and that he has become the one of the underclass of humans that are only useful for menial jobs. So he assumes the identity of Jerome Morrow, who's played by Jude Law, a perfect genetic specimen who is a paraplegic and as a result of a car accident. And he learns to deceive the whole system, beat the whole eugenics of things through DNA and urine swapping. And just as he's finally scheduled to space, there's like this murder mystery movie or plot that kind of dominates the whole thing. And it's a really it wasn't even what I remember. I remember I had seen this movie before, but it had been a long time since I watched this, and it was something different than I remembered. It had a lot more. This murder plot, and then Uma Thurman. I was like, Uma Thurman is wasted in this movie, but
sorry, I had to go give a urine sample.
Well, I mean. You launched the trailer, Murphy.
Yeah, let's launch the trailer. Sorry, my bad.
What if someone offered you the chance to have a genetically perfect baby? A lot of controversy. Designer child.
How beautiful do you have? Children made to order.
October 24th. One movie dares to take a look into our future.
If you turn up a little bit.
32 years.
In the most compelling, chilling, controversial science fiction thriller of the year.
How perfect does your child have to be?
Gattaca.
It's none of those things.
Yeah. That's such a deceiving trailer.
It's none of those things that guy said.
It's a very
see, that's why we remembered it wrong, Dave.
I think you're right.
I remember that trailer more so than I remember the actual movie Gattaca.
So here's my issue with this movie, fellas. And again, see, this is the business as usual dystopia. Whereas, if everything just keeps going the way it's going now and we don't try to improve things, this is where we end up, essentially. Where
this is OCD
there's an underclass
Starfleet.
and rich people. What? These guys are not Starfleet. These are not this.
I think it's
that right now.
Well, I think it's about when do we lose our humanity, and and how when you sort of play God is sort of a huge theme of this movie, but that this is how society, even though something's technically outlawed, no one takes it seriously, and there's a lot of people just go with it because it's.
I was surprised to find out Danny DeVito was a producer on this film.
Yeah, I saw that in the credits. Like, Danny DeVito.
He produces a lot of things. If you look closely, you'll see
this was definitely
a lot of places.
This was definitely at the hype of the 97 DNA science age when they started doing DNA, criminal investigation stuff, that. That was the height of the 90s. So there was a
Minority Report, that type of things.
Yeah, right.
So
apparently, go ahead. I'm jumping ahead of myself. Go ahead.
No. Well, I'm also lagging. So listeners, look, they're saying stuff. I get it 5 seconds later, and it's causing an issue. But so here's the thing about this movie to me. it squanders a good idea, like the whole eugenics thing, because this is a real concern with like technologies like CRISPR and things like that in our world. Like that's why I say it's like the business as usual dystopia. We could get here. Logan's run
very. Well,
it's hard how we get there.
It's the not too distant future is the whole premise, right?
True. There's one grind I like in this movie though, and that's we've got prejudice down to a science. Because it's all just genetic data you discriminate against people with now. So I thought
the center of the whole movie is about eugenics, right?
Right, and we love. There's a lot to this movie in terms of like what the new classes were and sort of the economics, and like it went from being about your skin color or how much money you had to about what what your DNA says about you, and that's a whole new kind of prejudice. But how does it reflect on our society now? And I think the other thing that the movie's really trying to get across, especially, is like, can you avoid this future? Can we create laws or ethics, or can we avoid things to prevent this kind of thing? I think like movies like The Sixth Day also ask this thing with cloning and different issues that come up with science kind of goes beyond what God intended, or what was sort of like the when we were more like cavemen types, I guess, or like less evolved.
Like they can basically in this,
I think the
universe, like basically in this universe, they like jab your foot as a baby, and they're like, well, you're gonna die. We know exactly how you're gonna die.
Probably
so that's
99% chance.
Yeah, a very high probability you're gonna go down in this certain method.
The good message in like the kind of the smart message, I think, in this movie is that even in this technological future where they think they know everything, like the minute you're going to die and everything, that there are still things about, I don't know, you could say the human spirit or just humans in general that are unquantifiable even to them, which is what Ethan Hawke's character is proving. He's just like, you guys said I can't do any of these things that I'm doing. Like,
yeah.
And that's kind of the message, like how you avoid this sort of dystopia. It's just like you can't go 100% in on the data in this. Like you can take that data for what it is, but that doesn't mean that's all that there is. And I want this, fellas. For me, the performances are bad. The dialogue's kind of bad, and you just phase in and out of this movie because it's bring a lot. And like I generally don't like Jude Law in most things. Uma Thurman, I can take or leave her. I like Nova Scotia's own Ethan Hawke, but he's not the most charming of actors either. As far as like being able to, I don't see him as a great leading man. He just doesn't have that kind of captivating appeal to me.
Neither did Hollywood, largely.
Sorry, Nova Scotia's own Ethan Hawke. But
I mean,
but apparently he's a great guy.
From what I don't know about you guys. When I was watching this film, kind of what I got from it was like, Ethan Hawke's character goes through, getting his legs broken to become the height of Jude Law, even though technically Ethan Hawke's taller than Jude Law. He's gotta go through all these like
really
OCD methods. Yeah, he's gonna go through all these OCD methods of removing the dead flesh off his body and the hair follicles. I like watching the intro. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I realized that it's nails falling and stuff like that. Like this is
skin
like
flakes and whatever.
Yeah, skin flakes, the micro version of like his whole morning ritual.
Had you seen this
that
before?
Was intriguing. No,
how did that start?
I don't think so. I don't believe so. I think I saw the commercial a bunch, and that was about it. And I think I got the gist of the movie, so I never watched it. I mean, apparently the commercial.
Did the cleanliness aspect resonate with you guys anymore since like the pandemic and everything, where everyone's like more aware of germs and skin flakes and everything. You know what I mean? Like,
a little bit,
yeah.
like
even just one stray hair is this big out of place thing. Like that kind of resonated a little.
I resonated with like the skin scrubbing stuff because I got like this like beauty pure scrub thing that like it's a glove and it just like exfoliates the shit out of my skin in the shower. So like I was like, I get it. You gotta, keep the dead flesh off your body. You get that. I totally understand, Only for him to be like so meticulous and then he carelessly like wipes an eyelash and leaves it on a corner, not thinking like I should pick that up.
Yeah, like I couldn't help but think about American Psycho and that whole intro in that movie where he's like cleaning himself in the shower. And I'm like, this movie is clearly before American Psycho because I don't feel like they would do this scene like this now. After that film was so iconic in a different way, the Patrick Bateman type, and everything else. But in this, yeah, like it was just kind of like the movie's really slow in parts, and I think that's the intro with the credits, just like getting into the movie, or just like, can we get going? And then this narration and backstory that going, but it's kind of balanced by this really beautiful cinematography and style and art deco and kind of like how they were kind of looking at the not too distant future and what they could what they imagined that would be like, but how the stylistic choices I think are very interesting, and how I love how
they're like vague with the not too distant future. It's like, it's 50 years will go.
Yeah, like it's and just I think it was interesting to see like how they had Vincent, which is Ethan Hawke, and then they're like, well, he's got a heart defect, he's got all these issues, and then the geneticist talking them into having this like his brother Anton, who spoilers, is like the policeman in the movie, is like this whole other storyline, right? Like, and
did you guys piece that together before the reveal? Because admittedly, I didn't.
I had forgotten. I had forgotten. I had seen this before, and I had forgotten. Oh yeah, he's the brother. I'm like, yeah. And then I was like, before they revealed it the second time. But What did
you guys think?
What's that?
What?
Nothing.
Did we lose him?
Think of the swim contest.
Oh, the swim contest. Okay, so I thought that was a very, interesting pissing contest. It's like, let's just swim out to the ocean, and the first one to chicken out loses, and this is how we settle our debts. And it's just like, really? You guys couldn't like get into a fist fight or something?
Courage contest.
Can you do something more practical here?
Yeah, you guys really like practice the Wim Hof method, from what I can tell. Like Ethan Hawke was practicing the Wim Hof method. He's not only swimming in the ocean naked half the time, he's also, when he's done sleeping with Uma Thurman, proceeds to go out to the ocean and get a pumice stone and scrub off all of his dead skin. And I'm like, is she not seeing this out the window? Like, why? And also, why would you do it there? Why not just grab a pumice stone and go back inside in the shower or something? All right. It's a beautiful shot, I guess. It's sunset, sun evening, sunrise, whatever. Sure.
Right.
It was a weird movie. It was a weird Art Deco movie that had it was a weird Art Deco movie that I felt like had a weak murder mystery.
Yeah. So here's the thing. That's the problem. They took this great, I would say great concept. Instead of running with that, they did an Art Deco thing in a murder mystery thing. Like, I think this concept would have been, it's funny we mentioned it earlier, handled by people who handle this thing quite often. And if this plot was given to the spec writers, for example, of the day, I think they would have handled the plot better. There wouldn't have been a murder mystery. The dialogue would have been wittier. This just would have been a better Star Trek episode than it was a movie. made this way. That's what I think.
Or like it's almost like an episode of like The Outer Limits or Black Mirror, or there's like a lot of aspects to this. I think you could do better today.
They do it better too.
I gotta ask, did you guys catch what the mission of Gattaca, what his space mission, like the purpose of it was? Was it just to have a deep space flight? Was that the purpose of it, or
they don't get into it very much? They say they're going up.
No, they want to go. They're going to Titan which is funny. They don't have any satellites that have been able to penetrate the cloud cover of. We have, like, we already have that in our. We know what's under the clouds in Titan. So that's what they're doing. They're going to Titan to see what's under the clouds, basically.
Well, why are they going in their suits?
Why
couldn't they put spacesuits on when they were going?
Yeah. What? Like, are they so advanced?
That's the Art Deco
they
part.
Don't need spacesuits.
But even in an Art Deco world, you wouldn't expect them to like keep their suits on to go into the spaceship. Would you? Like, I just kind of. Like,
I'm telling you, this is the weirdest form of Starfleet Command I've ever seen.
It was so like serious and I don't know, almost like a Men in Black vibe. I don't know. Same year as Men in Black, but
and like the what was it, like what was it, those stupid like 3D ball machines, you know, like the gyroscope machines. Wait, let's see if I can find it in the screenshot here.
Yeah, looks like a vampire. There you go.
Yeah. No, it wasn't there. But yeah, there's these gyro balls, these things in the background here. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like, of those. What are the purpose of those? What, like, were they just be like, oh, we can make people spin the fuck around?
Like if you in this world, I feel like it's like training for 0 Gs, but it was the weirdest space command, weirdest NASA you ever saw, for sure. It was why we all went to wearing suits and ties and like these very 90s type suits too. And people were smoking in restaurants, which I thought was also a weird thing to be doing in the future. But it was, just kind of like they were very committed to this Art Deco.
It's a dystopia.
It's a dystopia, but it doesn't feel like it's connected to the past. A little bit in the flashbacks, you feel like the parents are not wearing suits and they're not dressed as formally, and it's like the world became more formal and structured and rigid and militaristic almost, you know, in this world. And we lost our heart, we lost our soul because we sold it out to like trying to perfect children and making them like as perfect as possible. But we, you know, I feel like the movie does have a lot of merit, I think, in terms of what it's trying to talk about in some interesting ways. I think somewhat accidentally too, or, you know, coincidentally.
Giving our children extra digits so they have 12 fingers to play the piano that they can only play with 12 songs that they can only play with 12 fingers.
Right.
Okay.
Like I could see that being a thing.
I was going to bring that up. That came out of nowhere. Like, I like that a lot, actually. That's going to be my pick for what scene would I hold up. It was that scene when she just puts on the glove and it has the extra finger. That was a clever way to explain what was going on there. So,
yeah, there's apparently
that's what I'm going to pick
a foreshadowing.
For this little setting right here.
Apparently there's foreshadowing in that scene because there's like 12 roses next to him. Like, anybody's gonna pick that hint up.
They're trying to be arty in this movie instead of tell a nice sci-fi story. Which scenes would you hold up, fellas? For me, it's the piano.
You know what? Yeah, I got one. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, like I think for me, I think that the moment I really enjoyed the most was kind of like the goodbye between Jude Law and Ethan Hawke. I don't mind Jude Law or Ethan Hawke for that matter. And I thought like where he's like, you know, hey, thank you for letting me borrow your dream, you know, and all that. And I thought that like the two actors brought it in the scene, even though it's not necessarily the best writing or anything else, but it's just like they had a good moment in that scene and they really nailed it. And I think that that was kind of the thing I would hold up from the movie.
See, I was actually gonna mention the scene just after that where Jude Law's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go do my thing, and you have a good time and space and such. I'll see you around. And then you see Jude Law like go and he gets a medal and proceeds to like climb into this like box type thing, and then he like reaches and then they like cut it with the shot of the launching going off, and then they cut it back and he's just roasting himself in the incinerator. I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. That's fucking wild. That really blew my mind. So that was a really well cut and edited scene. Yeah. Why did he feel the need to do that? I mean, I guess he gave up on his dreams. So, you know, if he's gonna do that, I guess that's one way to go out.
No, because he grew up as one of the genetically privileged, and he can't handle the thought of now being crippled. Essentially, he can't handle being the underclass, because that's the world about not being that.
Yeah, and the other scene I would say that held up was the exchange between Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke after Ethan Hawke like hits the Hoover, like beats on the Hoover, and they go running and they're like all scared out. That like scene was just like all intensity, where you know they first kissed there. That was pretty intense. Liked it a lot. Good scene in my books.
I got another hold up too. It's everything with at the end with the brother where they go to swim. They just go for a naked nighttime swim. Weirdly, I think that this is the scene that kind of holds up maybe for me the most, or connected with me, because it's like Ethan Hawke being the oldest brother, but not maybe the favorite or as capable as his younger brother Anton, who's supposed to have all these advantages genetically, and just how he's like, he says, how are you doing this? He's like, you never got it. Like I don't leave anything for the swim back. I have to go balls to the wall just to keep up with you or even get past you a little bit. I relate to this as especially maybe in a hockey sense or a lot of sports where both my younger brothers were better than me at most things. So I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, you gotta like sometimes put it all out there. So good moment though. Hold up.
Nice.
Anyway, what's the next segment?
That's all I can think of when I see this scene is where exactly is this taking place? Because the ocean's freaking really cold here, and they're swimming naked in it. And I'm just like, where is this?
Yeah.
Is this like Hawaii? What's going on here?
It's got to be like Southern California, but even then it'd be freezing at night. But
it's definitely supposed to be like Los Angeles, Southern California somewhere. And I'm telling you right now, I've been at Santa Monica Pier.
Okay.
I've put my foot in that water. That water's cold as fuck, and that was like at the middle of the day. So in the middle of the night, I can only imagine.
The ocean's cold.
Real cold.
It's cold.
Yeah.
And they're just like, let's go balls to the walls.
Which performance will up, fellas?
The one performance that stood out the most to me was the detective, not the captain, not Anton.
Alan Arkin?
The detective. Yeah, Alan Arkin.
Oh, Alan Arkin.
He was, yeah. His performance was, arguably the best in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
He really held together, and I did like Uma Thurman. She was, begrudgingly like stiff due to the nature of, I guess, the society. But Alan Arkin was probably my favorite. He holds up.
I think that for me it was probably Jude Law who was the best, but I'd also give a big like shout out to Xander Berkeley, who was like that doctor guy who always had to watch him piss, and he's like,
and he always had jokes about his penis and stuff.
Yeah, what a specimen. And he's like, I'm going to tell you about my son one day, and he's like, he knew he was a fraud. He was the one who knew the entire time, and lets him through at the end. He's like, keep going. And we're gonna, get out of the dystopia. Try to prove because Ethan Hawke doing this gives his son hope that people who aren't what they say that they are on paper can be more than, or that the potential is not limited to numbers in a DNA test.
Well, it's entirely possible that Doctor has a natural born son of his own because he sees all sorts of eugenics. Maybe he's just like, nah, we're gonna do it the God faith way, or however they put it in the movie.
Maybe, or he did go to the geneticist and he didn't get what he wanted.
Well, thanks for the assist, Dave, who I was going to pick because the problem with it. I'm going to pick Xander Berkeley, though, because I did actually like his performance. So thanks for the assist.
From The Walking Dead.
Setting aesthetic. I mean, it's pretty.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing with this movie is the lens work and some of like the wide shots and really good use of decor and interesting stuff stylistically. They're almost too indulgent with it, and I think it's why the movie feels so long in parts. They're just like, look at our beautiful world and look at our beautiful shots, and I'm like, I get it, but on the storytelling part, it slows things down. But if you just want to like sit and admire the movie, it's all there. Like I think it's really strong, and everyone looks great.
Yeah, there's a lot of brutalism in the structure, and like just almost just simple tones to everything. I always like that sort of Men in Black, G-Men sort of aesthetic throughout films and stuff. There's you can tell a lot of films. This either was inspired by a lot of films in the past, or there's a lot of current films that are inspired by this film through just some of their shots that they managed to like pull off. So yeah, the aesthetic and stuff was pretty cool. But again, it was very, it felt very dry. There was something about it. It's like you want to see more out of what it is, and you're basically getting the same like 8 set pieces or something like that. And they just kind of like revolve around them. Like, I don't know how many times we saw, Jerome's desk, or, how many times he was on a roof, or, just like little set pieces like that, that they wanted to be like, oh, they're going to go to space. You're going to go to space. It's like, you never go to space. You just look at the stars.
The problem with this movie is, like, the world doesn't feel lived in, and it's one of my problems with the next movie we're about to review as well. Like, even Logan's Run, and it's the set design materials they were working with, that world actually felt lived in compared to this
more
one.
So. Yeah,
like both the inside and outside world felt more lived in thing in this movie or the next movie, and it shouldn't.
That is the weirdest.
This is usual dystopia.
No,
this one should be very relatable.
I don't think
Southland Tales way more lived in than the other.
Feels lived in. I don't want to live there, but it feels lived in.
No, it's Los Angeles. I've been there.
It doesn't feel okay. It doesn't feel like a real world. It doesn't feel like.
Yeah, that's very true. It definitely doesn't feel like
for us,
real
Murphy?
world.
Some more delicious.
Yeah.
Morsels.
Let's get a handful of Gattaca morsels in there. So, when Gattaca was first released as part of marketing, as part of a marketing campaign, there were adverts for people to call and have their children genetically engineered. Thousands of people called wanting to have their offspring genetically engineered.
Oh yeah, like I could totally see people wanting to do this.
Well, people want to do it now.
Yeah,
it's happening now. CRISPR boys.
Yeah.
The name, well, yeah, I'm gonna get to that actually. The name Gattaca is composed entirely of letters used to label the nucleotide bases of DNA, the four nitrogens bases of DNA. Adenine, thymine, cysteine, and guanine, and I'm probably butchering all of these.
That's like 12 doses thing. Like, you'll never pick that up, so it's pointless.
Well, it's like it has been identified that Gattaca uses the 4 DNA nucleotide abbreviations GATC, more specifically when identifying genetic markers. The test measures short tandem repeats at specific DNA marker locations. These are known as Gatta or Ka, repeats, hence Gattaca.
Okay.
Jude Law's character asks to be called by his middle name Eugene. Eugene comes from the Greek for well-born, which is eugenics being the central theme of the film.
Yeah.
The ID photo of Jerome is a digitally morphed version of the faces of Ethan Hawke and Jude Law. The icons used to denote... Okay, so you're going to probably like this detail, Dave. The icons used to... Sorry, I'm having trouble saying where this... The icons used to denote a valid versus an invalid have significant meaning. On the scanners, an infinity symbol appears next to a valid's name, denoting their infinite potential. Next to an invalid's name, a dagger appears. In taxonomy, a dagger next to a taxon indicates extinction. In addition, the dagger symbol resembles a cross, a reference to invalids being referred to as godchildren. As Irene states.
Yeah, I did notice the infinity symbol at one point, especially where it went between invalid really quickly. And I was like, I didn't really understood but I didn't think like the infinity meant infinite potential. That's neat. So.
Yeah. The FBI agents are called Hoovers, a reference to legendary top G-Man J. Edgar Hoover, but also a clever reference to a vacuum cleaner brand. These are numerous shots of vacuums being used to gather DNA evidence. They seem corny to you?
Mm-hmm. The whole Hoover thing, yeah. I picked up that right on way. I'm like, they're doing the J. Edgar and the vacuum thing. I don't know.
It's a good
that one.
A deleted
but
scene.
They all these details they put into it, and then they just don't. They just throw a murder mystery in there and squander the whole sci-fi thing they're building. All these little details of the genetics and everything, and they're just like, but let's just make it a murder mystery.
Okay, one of the facts about this film I find really hilarious, but we'll get to that in a second. A deleted scene suggests that the head cleaner, Ernest Borgnine Caesar, has known all along that Jerome is Vincent. And there was a scene there when he grabs his paper cup. I thought he was disposing of that for him because he's like, the Hoovers are around, they're going to get this, so I'm going to make sure I get rid of this. And then he gets intercepted. So it just kind of seems like he didn't. Or he did. It was very up in the air, but I kind of felt like he knew who he was. He could tell, right?
My feeling was he didn't, but it could go either way, I think. Yeah.
Well, if they didn't, then a lot of people in this movie have terrible face blindness.
Oh yeah.
Terrible face blindness.
But yeah, apparently they said was the last time anybody looked at a picture, and there's that's kind of a symptom of this dystopian society that nobody's really paying attention.
Apparently, in the dystopian future, pictures are taken with Game Boy pockets,
and then actually significantly downgraded,
yes, and turned into one color.
Yeah.
Many of the futuristic buildings in the film are actually quite old. Many of these represent a type of postmodern architecture called brutalism, which was popular in the 1950s. The two massive arches seen behind Jerome and Irene during their talk are actually the spillway of the Sepulveda Dam in Los Angeles, which was built in the 1930s. So, classic architecture being sci-fi, good times.
Yeah.
Pretty sure they filmed some Terminator 2 scenes in there.
They did. Yeah, they did actually. So 4 more quick ones. Uma Thurman's character is named Irene Cassini. Cassini is the surname of the 17th century Italian astronomer Giovanni Domenico Cassini, who discovered the prominent gap in Saturn's main rings, as well as the icy moons Lepidus, Diona, Rhea, and Tethys. I'm probably pronouncing these terribly. The space mission in this film is destined for Saturn. In 1997, NASA launched the Cassini space probe bound for Saturn. It carried the Huygens space probe, which was dropped into Titan in the early 2005, discovered ground under the clouds. And we're wrapping these up. There's quick ones. Film debut of Maya Rudolph. She was a nurse, apparently, in the birthing scene. She was one of the side nurses, comedian and actress Maya Rudolph. And this is my favorite fact of this movie. It was voted by NASA scientists the most accurate science fiction film ever made.
Why? It's a weird thing to vote for that.
Because it's the business usual future.
Apparently the most sci-fi part of the movie was genome editing. Seems possible with CRISPR-Cas9, which was invented by Emmanuel Charpentier, and I feel bad about that, and Jennifer Dunning in 2012. For this, they were awarded the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 2020. So that's the movie Morsels for Gattaca.
Oh, but you left one big one out.
Oh, did I?
Well, this is like Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke got hooked up on this movie, and they got married, and they had 2 kids, and they later divorced. But this is where they met and all that. If you follow,
yeah, that's a thing. That is a thing I did leave out. I did read that, and I was like, I don't think anybody cares about that.
Well, I thought it might be a
that's
good
just celebrity gossip. That's not what we. He got away from all that and moved to Nova Scotia, the homeland.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need you, Uma. See you never, unless we have stuff with the kids.
Yeah.
All right.
Good luck me on my island in Nova Scotia.
Yeah, because Ethan Hawke's kids might come up to Nova Scotia, and then they say, "Hey, Uma, Mom, come on up, check it out."
Yep.
Rewatchability for Gattaca. I don't think I would rewatch this unless I was wanting to examine scenes for simple artistic cinema replication on my own part. If I wanted to replicate a shot or something, I might pull it up, but I don't think I would rewatch this out of leisure. It was pretty dry and left me wanting more out of the film than was actually presented.
I would rewatch it again in 50 years, when I've forgotten what happened, and I'd be again pleasantly entertained by the few things I had completely left out of this movie or blocked out. The whole murder mystery thing was like, oh yeah, and then everything. I was like, oh yeah, Alan Arkin's in this movie, and Ernest Borgnine, and there was I thought there was some good moments and some good aesthetics to this movie. But this is not a movie that I need to rewatch. It's certainly like now that it's in my memory, we've certainly after having talked about it with you guys, I'm good for 50 years.
Yeah, I would say it's a decent time capsule movie. Davan, do you think it's rewatchable?
Number. No. No, particularly this is it's the concept that is good, and it's the concept that those NASA scientists are talking about and the science that they do put into the movie regarding eugenics. But they squander that. It would have been better done by Black Mirror or Star Trek or something, because this director or writer or both, Andrew Niccol, I don't think he really wanted to make a sci-fi movie.
Not really.
No. This became, which is
it's his
not
filmmaking
particularly sci-fi.
debut.
What did you do anything else after this? What was his
filmography? Is
Andrew Niccol?
He also did
the Truman Show.
He did the Truman Show, which was the
he did. Well, he was a writer producer on the Truman Show.
Oh,
he didn't direct.
Wow.
But he did direct Lord of War, which is a great movie. I love
The Terminal.
War,
I haven't seen that one yet.
I think that might be my pick for our war selection, actually. Another thing of it.
All the accidental segues we're getting in this show are pretty funny. Like, we've done 3 episodes. We've mentioned David Ogden Stiers twice. We've seen Jenny Gutter twice. There's been a lot of that, and then we mentioned Soylent Green, and we're gonna do Soylent Green next episode. You're thinking all these wide world of movies know each other with these movies, but
I think this movie holds up, guys, but barely.
Does it hold up?
Does it hold up? I would agree. Yeah, for what it is, it does hold up, and it does barely hold up because of some of the concepts it explores, but it's just not executed to a satisfying degree. So for what it is, yeah, I'm gonna give it a holds up.
Wow, you guys are on one team and I'm on tonight. For me,
well, I wasn't at first. I wasn't at first,
like,
but after
almost,
this review.
It's okay, Davan. That's okay. We'll see how we feel about Southland Tales. I might be on your team for the next.
This is one of the few movies I've seen. Maybe this is one of the few movies I've seen where I actually think a remake would make it better. A lot better than it was done. I don't agree with Run, but Murphy mentioned that. But for this movie, redo it, get find more, drop the murder mystery, or make it a Star Trek episode. No, it does not hold up for me. Banished to the beach. Here.
See, at first for me, I was not thinking it held up. That was my initial feelings. I was like, that was so unsatisfying. But upon the review that we've had with it, it kind of holds up. I don't know if I'd rewatch it again, but yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I give it a holds up.
All right, Act 3.